Wonder, pages 303 to 310. And here's one of the weirdest things that happened. Mr. Tushman's voice cracked a little bit, like he got all choked up. He actually cleared his throat and took a big sip of water. I started paying attention, for real now, to what he was saying. The strength of one's courage, he repeated quietly, nodding and smiling. He held up his right hand like he was counting off. Courage, kindness, friendship, character. These are qualities that define us as human beings and propel us on occasion to greatness. And this is what the Henry Ward Beecher Medal is about, recognizing greatness. But how do we do that? How do we measure something like greatness? Again, there's no yardstick for that kind of thing. How do we even define it? Well, Beecher actually had an answer for that. He put on his reading glasses again, leafed through a book, and started to read. Greatness, wrote Beecher, lies not in being strong, but in the right of using strength. He is the greatest whose strength carries upon the most hearts. And again, out of the blue, he got all choked up. He put his 2 index fingers over his mouth for a second before continuing. He is the greatest, he finally continued, whose strength carries up the most hearts by attraction of his own. Without further ado, I am very proud to award the Henry Ward Beecher Medal to the student whose quiet strength has carried up the most hearts. So will August Pullman please come up here to receive this award? Floating. People started applauding before Mr. Tushman's words actually registered in my brain. I heard Maya, who was next to me, give a little happy scream when she heard my name. And Miles, who was on the other side of me, patted my back. Stand up! Get up! All the kids around me said. I felt lots of hands pushing me upward out of my seat, guiding me to the edge of the row, patting me on my back, high-fiving me. Way to go, Augie! Nice going, Augie! I even started hearing my name being chanted. Augie! 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 I looked back and saw Jack leading the chant, fist in the air, smiling and signaling for me to keep going, and Amos shouting through his hands, Woohoo, little dude! Then I saw Summer smiling as I walked past her, and when she saw me look at her, she gave me a secret little thumbs up and mouthed her silent, cool beans to me. I laughed and shook my head. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I think I was smiling. Maybe I was beaming. I don't know. As I walked up the aisle towards the stage, all I saw was a blur of happy, bright faces looking at me, and hands clapping for me. And I heard people yelling things out at me. You deserve it, Augie. Good for you, Augie. I saw all my teachers in the aisle seats. Mr. Brown, Mrs. Petosa, Mr. Roach, and Mrs. Annabelle, and Miss Nurse Molly, and all the others. They were cheering for me, woohooing and whistling. I felt like I was floating. It was so weird. Like the sun was shining full force on my face, and the wind was blowing. As I got closer to the stage, I saw Ms. Rubin waving at me in the front row. And then next to her was Miss G, who was crying hysterically. A happy crying, smiling and clapping the whole time. And as I walked up the steps to the stage, the most amazing thing happened. Everyone started standing up. Not just the front rows, but the whole audience got up on their feet, whooping, hollering, clapping like crazy. It was a standing ovation. For me. I walked across the stage to Mr. Tushman, who shook my hand with both hands and whispered in my ear, Well done, Augie. Then he placed the gold medal over my head, just like they do in the Olympics, and had me turn to face the audience. It felt like I was watching myself in a movie, like I was almost someone else. It was like that last scene in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, when Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Chewbacca are being applauded for destroying the Death Star. I could almost hear the Star Wars theme music playing in my head as I stood on the stage. I wasn't even sure why I was really getting this medal. No, that's not true. I knew why. It's like people you see sometimes. You can't imagine what it would be like to be that person, whether it's somebody in what would be like that person, what it would be like to be that person, whether it's somebody in a wheelchair or someone who can't talk. Only I know that I'm that person to other people. Maybe to every single person in that whole auditorium. To me, though, I'm just me, an ordinary kid. But hey, if they want to give me a medal for being me, that's okay. I'll take it. I didn't destroy a Death Star or anything like that. But I did just get through 5th grade. And that's not that easy, even if you're me. Pictures. Afterward, there is a reception for the 5th and 6th graders under a huge white tent in the back of the school. All the kids found their parents, and I didn't mind at all when Mom and Dad hugged me like crazy, or when Via wrapped her arms around me and swung me around left and right about 20 times. Then Papa and Tata hugged me, and Aunt Kate and Uncle Poe and Uncle Ben, everyone kind of teary-eyed and wet-cheeked. But Miranda was the funniest. She was crying more than anyone and squeezed me so tight that Via had to practically pry her off of me, which made them both laugh. Everyone started taking pictures of me, pulling out their flips, and then Dad got me, Summer, and Jack for a group shot. We put our arms around each other's shoulders, and for the first time I can remember, I wasn't thinking about my face. I was just smiling, a big, happy, fat smile, for all the different cameras just clicking away at me. Flash, flash, click, click, smiling away as Jack's parents and Summer's mom started clicking. Then Reed and Maya came over. Flash, flash, click, click. Then Charlotte came over and asked if she could take a picture with us, and we were like, sure, of course. And then Charlotte's parents were snapping away at our little group along with everyone else's parents. And the next thing I knew, the 2 Maxes had come over, and Henry and Miles and Savannah, and then Amos had come over, and Zima, and we were all in this big, tight huddle as parents clicked away, like we were on the red carpet somewhere. Luca, Isaiah, Nino, Pablo, Tristan, Ellie. I lost track of who all came over. Practically everyone. All I knew for sure is that we were all laughing and squeezing in so tight against each other, and no one seemed to care if it was my face that was next to theirs or not. In fact, I didn't mean to brag here, but it kind of felt like everyone wanted to get close to me. The walk home. We walked over to our house for cake and ice cream after reception. Jack and his parents and his little brother, Jamie, Summer and her mother, Uncle Poe and Aunt Kate, Uncle Ben, Tata, and Papa, Justin and Via and Miranda, Mom and Dad. It was one of those great June days when the sky is completely blue and the sun is shining, but it isn't so hot that you wish you were on the beach instead. It was just the perfect day. Everyone was happy. I still felt like I was floating. The Star Wars hero music still played in my head. I walked with Summer and Jack, and we couldn't stop cracking up. Everything made us laugh. We were in that giggly kind of mood where all someone has to do is look at you, and you kind of start laughing. I heard Dad's voice up ahead and looked up. He was telling everyone a funny story as they walked down Amesford Avenue. The grown-ups were all laughing too. It was like Mom always said, Dad could be a comedian. I noticed Mom wasn't walking with the group of grown-ups, so I looked behind me. She was hanging back a bit, smiling to herself like she was thinking of something sweet. She seemed so happy. I took a few steps back and surprised her by hugging her as she walked. She put her arms around me and gave me a big squeeze. Thank you for making me go to school, I said quietly. She hugged me close and leaned down and kissed the top of my head. Thank you, Augie, she answered softly. For what? For everything you've given us, she said. For coming into our lives. For being you. She bent down and whispered in my ear, You really are a wonder. You are a wonder. The end.